Hey, you feel that? You are now tuned into You Feel That with Bryce the Third. Yo, and welcome to another episode of You Feel That with Bryce the Third, the best podcast there is for aspiring change makers looking to learn to master their emotion. Here's where we learn to become compassionate, understanding servant leaders one episode at a time. I am, of course, your host, Bryce the Third, and the big question is this: how do I, as an ambitious entrepreneur, learn to master my emotions in a way that allows me to continuously show up and do the next scary thing that could potentially take my career and life to the next level? And with that said, I'm here to talk about letting it work. And in my mind, I feel like a hypocrite talking about this because recently in my life, there's been some things that I really want. And to learn to allow those things to come to fruition without me having to grab it by its neck and pull up on somebody and scream from the top of my lungs has been a challenge. Learning to utilize the resources at my fingertips that are right in front of me, do all that I can do, and then give the rest away, like give it up, like let it go, release it, so that I have the spiritual capacity to be able to contribute to what it is that is in front of me, and like utilize the resources at my fingertips at Continuum is a process. And I don't know what it is about me specifically. I don't know about y'all. I mean, maybe I'm different. I don't know. But when I want something, and I can get obsessive. Like I really want it, and I want it now, and I want it how I want it. But like learning to let go and allow for the universe, the God, like whatever words you use, learning to let something bigger take a hold of what it is that I'm trying to stranglehold is just so much easier for my spiritual well-being. And like I said, it also frees up, because the whole thing is when I'm super obsessive, like when I'm super like tapped in and I'm obsessing about a thing, I lose resources. Like the work that we do as leaders, as change makers, as entrepreneurs, it requires our thoughts. It requires our spirits. And if our thoughts and our spirits are consumed and are in a bind around something that we have no control over, we lose resources that we can put towards doing something that we actually have control over, or put towards investing in something that is in front of us and that we have the ability to put our fingertips on. And so when I say I feel like a hypocrite, not that I don't practice this, but I'm in the midst of practicing it now. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned about leadership. Like I always thought that leaders were people who had already had it figured out, and so therefore they can teach about it, or they can show up and just tell me about the process of doing it. But what I've learned, man, the best leaders is just people who are figuring this thing out and put themselves on display, who are putting their process in front of us so that we can see them go through the process, and they'll stay a step ahead. Like I heard one quote one time that a leader really only needs to be a week ahead somebody else, that they're leading, right? Really and truly, like if you're quantum leaps, like if you're all the way over there and you talking about, yeah, come over here, it's easy, I'll be looking at you like, bro, like for real, because it doesn't look that easy. Like you all the way over there, how I'm gonna get over there? Like how are you going to turn me into the person that can do what it is that you're showing me that you can do if I still I'm all the way over here, right? But like learning, like a lot of my teachers, they seem close. They look like me, or they come from where I come from, or they're doing something that like I'm already interested in and am efficient in, but they're doing it at the next level, and that's who I want to model my shit after, right? So like thinking about that, I think it's important for me to come to the show and tell you like the things that I'm experiencing out here, trying to make change, creating spaces for people to come and tap into their spiritual, emotional, and mental wellness, and the things that I'm learning in the process of being a coach and offering services and showing up for my practice. Like there's things that we don't know are working as they work. Let me put it like this. Have you ever had the experience of like, damn, like you just being like, yeah, I'm just, oh man, nothing is going how I planned it to. Like I've done all this stuff, but nothing is working how I want it to. And then you get a phone call and somebody say something like, yeah, I was just looking at such and such, something you created, maybe months ago that you forgot all about because you went to the next thing. And it really helped my life, or it really uplifted me, or whoa, and we actually had this opportunity for you. Do you have availability to come be able to do this? And it's like, wow, I'm sitting here and I'm stressing about the things that aren't going on in my life, but I don't know what's working and how it's working. The most important thing I can do, the most important thing we can do is show up and utilize the resources at our fingertips right now, this moment, and do what we can. If we want something, do what we can in this moment. Let me ask you this. What do you want? What do you want? Okay. Have you done everything in your power to make sure that you're lined up to make that thing come manifest? Yes? Well, then you had nothing else to do. I think it's best for me to talk about these things when I'm going through them, because it's like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. But there has to be something else I can do. Pick your brain. Pick your brain and your spirit. Like, really dig deep. And if you go in there and you find something else that you can do, do it. Do that. That's why you thought about it. That's why it came to mind. You'll suffer if you know that there's something else that you can do, but you haven't done it, but you don't have the thing that you want. So do that thing, right? But if there's nothing else that you can do, let that thing go. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. And a good thing that I'm learning is like, okay, but then there's a million other things that I'm immersed in that I'm creating right now. So can I put some of this energy, some of this frustrating energy into something else as expression? Can I tap into the podcast and record a couple of episodes? Can I look at my task list and get more organized? I'm spinning a whole bunch of different plates. Can I focus on one of these other plates and like really get intentional about what it is that I'm creating and use this frustrating energy? You ever heard of like the transference of energy? So like people say hit a bag if you're angry, right? And when you hit that bag, like the energy comes out of your hands, do, and afterwards you feel, ooh, that was cathartic, right? So when we have done everything that we can to make manifest something that we want to happen, and we still find that there's an unsettling within us that we feel like we need to do something, take that energy and transfer that into something else that you already got going. Transfer that into another sector of your life. Transfer that into being a good friend. Call a friend up. Yo, what you doing? How are you? You want to go hang out? Put that into parenthood. Put that into your business. Are there tasks in your business? And I promise you, if you have a business, entrepreneur to entrepreneur, there's always other tasks. There's always other things that we can improve on, right? So can you put some of this frustrating energy into that and use it as catharsis? These are things that I'm sharing these things that I'm going through them. I'm sharing these things that I'm going through them. This is actually cathartic for me, because earlier today, like I just found myself I'm just bound up. Like, hey, I really want this thing to happen. But I got to ask myself, like, have you done everything that you can? And yes, I've gone above and beyond to do everything that I can to make this opportunity possible. Then after that, you got to let the grass grow. If you ever tried to watch grass grow, it's not going to grow in front of your eyes. That shit grow though. You're not going to see it. So sometimes you got to walk away. I used to do puzzles all the time. I probably should get back into puzzling. It taught me some life lessons. But it would be times where I would do I only did like 500 piece puzzles. Y'all 1,500, 2,000 piece puzzle people, y'all stay away from me, because y'all got a nerve of steel that I don't have. Matter of fact, come around me. I might be able to hire you. I used to do these puzzles, and I would get to a point to where like I would be super obsessive about where the next piece goes, and then I go to put the piece, and I couldn't find the piece, and I would just sit there, and I'd be like 10, 15 minutes. Where's this piece go? I gotta get this piece. And then, I'd be like, you know what? I got to walk away. I just can't do this right now. And it would be crazy that when I came back the next time, like maybe the next day, like there it goes. Boop, boop, boop. And I put like 10 or 12 pieces in like with ease. It's like, I had to walk away. And put that energy somewhere else. So like learning to let what's working work. Because there's a level of working it that you'll have to work. Things don't get set up by themselves. You'll have to set the play up. But then have faith that the play is going to work its way out the way that it's supposed to. And that's the last thing I want to touch on, like the meaning behind it. So we can get caught up with the meaning. So it's like if something doesn't happen like we wanted to, it's like, oh, well, that must have not have been the way that it should have happened. Or, oh, well, maybe there's a bigger purpose, which is true. I believe it's true, like there's a bigger purpose. But what I also find I shouldn't get caught up in is trying to know what the bigger purpose is. Without the luxury of hindsight, we won't even be able to connect the dots. So to like try to ease our soul by finding like the exact thing why this thing didn't happen how it was supposed to, like that's, at least for me, it's frustrated me even more. Like, oh yeah, I mean, this thing must have not have happened because of this or this or this, or damn, this thing must have not have happened because of this or this or this. And it usually just leads me to ask, like, why is this not happening like I want it to? Like, I get frustrated. I don't like that. It does not allow for an increased quality of life. It does not allow for grace and ease. It does not allow for compassion for my process. And if I don't have those things, then I'm not able to contribute my full self to the creative endeavors that I'm tapped into. So nothing gets my 100% if that's what I'm on. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it works for you to know why things don't work out or why things do work out when they do work out. But for me, I don't know. I don't know. And I think there's so much power in the I don't know. Like the power in I don't know is outrageous. Like, because it really allows for us to allow for whatever, universe, God, whatever, to do his thing. Because I don't fucking know. I don't know, but I got faith. That's why I keep showing up. So we can show up in faith. We can show up and do what the next best thing is. We can show up and do all that we can, but we got to let the rest be. We got to let the rest be. We got to let it work. Do work and then let it work. That's all I got for you today. You know the deal. Go leave me a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We love those paragraphs. If you go and wax poetic about how much you love the show, other people see those paragraphs, like not only the 5-star, if you leave a 5-star, but a paragraph, some words. People see that, get excited, and come check out the show. And that's how we grow our community organically. I'd love it if you do that. If you're on Facebook, we got the free We Feel That Facebook group down below, wherever you're listening to or watching this podcast at. The link is down there. Go and join. If you've heard anything that's going to help perpetuate your success in the show, consider subscribing to my Patreon. $10 a month. Every now and then I'll convince a guest to stay after the show a little bit, and we'll do it after hours episodes. You get exclusive access to those. I'll pop in every now and then too and just give a few words of wisdom that are exclusive to my Patreon. But bigger than all of that, like you subscribing to the Patreon allows for me to create some of these cool things, delegate some of these tasks that can be overwhelming with just one person on staff, and ultimately create the coolest, most emotionally and spiritually and mentally fit entrepreneurial, creative community you ever heard of. Also, you can text podcast to the number 313-254-5972. You'll stay in the loop about all the cool stuff we got going on locally and nationally. That includes live podcasts, early access to merch, all that good stuff. And as always, be intentional, love on each other, and have compassion for your process. I'll catch you next time on You Feel That with Bryce the Third.